So 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of council, the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in council chambers at 216 Main Street, Swan River, Manitoba, this 28th day of January 2025 at 7 p.m. Present this evening, myself, Reeve, Gade, councillors Brian Burick, Carrie, Blosha, Byron, Zbirun, Terry, Neely, Brad Kushniryk, and RJ McGregor. Our CAO, Kristi, Ronnquist is here. Our videographer, Jeremy Bergen, is in the house tonight, eating a Kit Kat, we observe. And we have one person joining us.
And drinking root beer? No.
We know he only brought one Kit Kat with him tonight. We will jump into the meeting at number 2. Be it resolved, the agenda for the regular council meeting held this 28th day of January 2025 shall be adopted as presented as the remover. I see Councillor Burick and Councillor Neely to second. Is there any changes or additions to the agenda that anyone wishes to propose tonight? Yes. Hearing nothing, we'll call the question, although there's a note here that we're adding one thing to the camera. We'll talk about that then. We'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Number 3, the minutes. Be it resolved, the minutes of the regular meeting of council held January 14th, 2025 shall be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Kushniryk, and I saw Councillor Zbirun as well. Copy of the minutes is attached to the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review it? Are there any errors or omissions that we need to fix up?
That's all.
Okay. Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That too is carried. Public Works report, we haven't received one, have we, in the last little bit? No. Okay, we're going to skip through that. We'll head to financial items. As you may or may not be aware, our finance officer was away unexpectedly for an extra couple weeks in January that we hadn't planned on. She's back. So we have some checks tonight, but these aren't all of them. There'll be more presented at the next meeting. Be it resolved, the Council of Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. General Cheques number 20262 to 20276 in the amount of $575,654.19. Is there someone that wishes to move the resolution? I see Councillor Blosha, and I see Councillor Neely as well. I do have the checks with, the majority of that money is going for school payments. Some to the Minister of Finance, the rest are going to the Swan Valley School Division. Are there other checks you have questions on? Councillor Burick.
Quick attach one way, is that the one that they rebuilt?
That is the new one we bought a couple months ago.
Okay.
They invoiced us for it, but we hadn't paid for it yet.
Okay, okay.
That was my question.
Yeah, that's good.
Anything else?
The payment to the school, that's the end of the deal, like that's
That's
the
the
end.
end of it. That brings us to 100% now.
Okay.
The reason there's 2 numbers is there's a progress payment to a percentage, and then the bigger number is all the way to 100% payment.
Okay.
We're supposed to pay them each month to what we have collected, and then we have to pay the rest by now.
Oh,
So 2 are put together there. And the same sort of thing with the one to the province. You'll see there's a progress and then 100%.
okay.
Any other questions? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question on the resolution. Those in favor? That's carried. Heading into discussion items tonight. 8.1, fiber optic path. So we have a proposed fiber optic route along Highway 49. It starts at Highway 83 at the junction, travels towards Saskatchewan, and they are seeking our permission to use the right-of-way.
It's not our right of way, is it?
Well, I
It's a
kind of
highway,
wonder about
though.
that, but hey, they want our permission. We feel kind of important.
Oh, they might have to go under an approach or
I'm
something.
thinking there must be something that's, so. This is RF now. I don't know what project they're building, but obviously they're going to Saskatchewan with it. So they must be doing something that way. Does anyone have any concerns with granting them permission for that?
No, as long as they go 3 feet down like they're saying. That was promised to me one time
Not so much?
by the airport and all the way to Bozeman there, but the line was like this.
Oh,
Some places it was less than a foot, and then it was 2 feet down. It was a good thing because I needed the slack in the line. I had to do a bunch of ditch work there. Because, you know, when you go like this and you stretch it out, you're gonna have slack, right?
yeah.
So it worked out, but I mean, yeah. We had to blow about 18 holes with belly water with the back truck and find the lines, and only on that was the last. That's the only comment I would have on it, but it's not even our ditch except for the approach. Put a footnote in there, better check with highways.
We just gave him permission.
Be it resolved, the Municipality of Swan Valley West approves the right-of-way request to install fiber optic cable from Highway 83 to the Saskatchewan border along Highway 49. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Neely, someone to second it. I see Councillor McGregor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 8.2 Subdivision Purchase Agreement. So this is a copy of the finalized agreement. This has gone for signatures already. And it's being signed, I think, it's being signed in 2 pieces, so it's swapping in the mail right now between the parties, just to finish that up. So it just was attached in case you need a copy for your records, you can get it.
It's stretched out to December 1st for, just in case of glitches.
Right. The Mylars are already in BC being signed, and once they're back, we can finalize the filing. So it's probably only a few weeks away, but we stretched it out just in case something goes wrong. Anything else on that? Let's go to 8.3 Landfill Hours. So these are some sample hours attached, and these are, is every single one the same
They're
one?
the same,
Okay,
yeah.
so if you just look at the top one, it's just the sheet we print out to make the little strips. So we had been talking about changing landfill hours in Benito site. This is just a proposal. It's here for council to look at, think about, and decide what we wish to do. Who would like to speak first?
First off, I don't live there, but I mean, we decided at the last meeting that it might be better off just to have Mondays closed, right? And that's why we're, so then it's the same all the time, never mind long weekend or anything. Okay. That's my only question.
I don't think we need the Friday.
Agreed. I think 3 days is
3 days.
more than, like the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday looks perfect.
Okay. How's everybody else feel about no Friday?
Well, you guys know more about the activity out there than I do.
Well, they're giving the Thursday till 7 and 4, which is like 7 in the summer,
Yeah, I
which is
mean,
right.
you got two-
And then Saturday I feel is the busiest day.
Likely, yeah.
Definitely, like need a Saturday no matter what, so Saturday has to stay, but I think,
3
I don't
days a
think,
week,
I don't
that's-
think you need back-to-back
Man, it
days.
used to be 2 days a week, eh?
Bozeman's 2 weeks.
3 days.
Well, it used to
2
be
days.
2 because we
Oh.
used to have 2 landfills, so you just go 2 days, 1 and 2
Yeah, but,
days.
yeah,
the other,
but
so-
I mean, Benito was always 2 days before.
But I'm sure, yeah.
I have a bit of an HR issue to discuss with this in camera. We also have an application. That's not the same HR issue. You think it is funny, but it's not the same one. It's gonna be hilarious. I wish we could do it at open council, but we can't. Are we comfortable then with this if we just remove that Friday? Everything else is good?
Tuesday just till 4 o'clock, eh? Is that the word?
Well, that's winter. That's
Winter and
winter
summer.
hours.
Winter
In the
and
summer,
summer.
they're open a little later.
Well,
Summer,
This
they're
is
open till
Tuesday.
4 o'clock.
Tuesday till 4
Tuesday
o'clock.
till 4
it's
o'clock in the summer too.
In the summer here.
Oh, in the summer, too,
So
that's
we-
Tuesdays.
The reasoning for that was that Tuesday morning, they're doing garbage collections.
Right.
So, you know, rather than being at the site, so they're, basically, they'll hit their 9 hours by the time we get to that 4 o'clock.
Oh, I see.
I
Was
think,
kind of where we're going with that.
sorry, I think it'll be okay.
We can always change it again later, but ideally, we wouldn't change it every month just for fun, because it's hard for people to keep
It's
track
funny,
of.
they'll have to get used to it though, that every day is a different time.
Mhm.
Like Tuesday opens at 12, Thursday
12,
opens at
10,
11,
9.
the other one Saturday at 9, and they close at different hours, so it's,
Well, we'll
It's gonna be a
definitely,
little
we'll
confusing.
definitely take some of those to the post offices again, because they like
Oh,
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'll get the signs updated and
Yeah.
such. We'll pick a date, so we won't do this tomorrow. We'll do
No,
it a couple weeks from now, after everybody gets a chance to be told it's changing as of.
yeah.
The only ones we've actually changed are the Tuesday hours, the others are the hours they were.
Yeah. Yeah, so
It
it won't be,
makes them-
it won't be a shock,
It makes them home
it won't be a
different.
shock, it'll just be that Monday if people are,
Yeah.
it'll be the Monday instead of the Tuesday, so that'll be the one to get used to.
Do you want administration just to make this happen, or would you like a resolution for it?
I think you just make it happen.
Okay. We will get it done. 8.4, Benito radar sign report. So there's a reason this is on here. You may recall when we bought that sign, it comes with 1 year subscription service to the reporting and all of that. So that expires the 1st of February. They asked us if we wanted to renew. So far, we've said, no, we're not interested. The cost is $500 a year. Without renewal, the sign keeps working perfectly fine. We can make changes to it. We just have to go to the sign to make the changes, but we haven't made a change in months because it is programmed and does its thing. What we will lose access to is these reports. I don't see any value in them.
It's quite consistent.
It is.
But, you know, there's not many people. I looked at it, I couldn't find many speeders really.
No. I put several months of reports on here because after the 1st of February, we can't get them anymore, even the old ones. So I saved them in case someday we need to see the traffic count or the whatever, because it shows us the time of day the traffic goes and also shows us the total number, which I thought might be useful. So I just put them there in case any of you have a committee you need it for, or personal interest, or someday it comes up, we can go back to this and get the numbers.
See, from 4 to 6 is about the busiest time.
No. And this is only counting what's coming toward the sign.
Yeah.
So there's probably just as much going the other way. This is counting.
That's
that
just
one way.
coming north.
But that's pretty impressive where you see like it's, 20,000 vehicles a month
Yeah.
going by
Yeah,
that sign.
A lot of vehicles out there.
Okay, if nothing else there, we'll go to 8.5, Medical Recruitment Meeting with PMH. So not that I want you to get totally attached to me putting a whole page of notes here, but seeing how you complain so much when I read them out, a couple things I typed it out this time and attached it. So we had a committee meeting, I believe Councillor Blosha was there as well. So I made notes for the group and I just attached the notes here. So mostly it's for information. Biggest thing that's coming up, we've talked about it a bit here before, we have 20 doctors coming February 7th, 8th, and 9th. They're coming from U of M. They're resident 1 and resident 2. So some of them will be a doctor as of June, some will be a doctor as of next June. All 20 specifically requested to attend Swan River. They had the option of going to Brandon or to Swan River. These 20 asked for Swan River as a wanting to come here and see what we have because they're kind of interested in this kind of setting. So while they're here, we're going to show them the clinic and the hospital, as well as some of the CMHA stuff that's going on and a few other things in town. There's a community event we'll be taking them to on the Saturday. We've got some things to try and remind them of Swan River when they go back home. But we're spending some money on it. This is what we use that doctor recruitment funding for, that we put money away for every year. So it should be good.
Where do they stay when they come here?
They'll be staying at Super 8 this time.
Super 8.
And when are they coming?
They're coming the 7th, 8th, and 9th of February. They're coming on a bus, so they're all coming together as one group. And then we're meeting them when they get here, welcome them to the community a bit, then they're busy much of Saturday, and then they go back on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
So it should be a good time. We're quite happy they asked to be here. We've been doing a little bit of negotiating with Prairie Mountain Health. So they were a little short on funding because this wasn't Brandon, and so there was a bunch of extra expenses. So we agreed to fund some of it in exchange for them coming back again another year, next year. So it was going to be a one-shot thing, but we're going to do it for 2 years in a row at least. And we're sort of hoping to make this an always option for them, so we get more people seeing Swan River. Even if they don't end up practicing here, they know where we are. And that's a pretty good thing for doctors to know where the community is and be familiar with what we have here.
As long as the money's in the fund, I guess that's what it's there for.
So, and what we're spending on this isn't even the interest we made last year. So it's not so bad. A few other things on there, not huge stuff. There was one disappointment, Rule Week this year for the U of M. 136 students are being placed at the Swan River Clinic. Refused to take any this year because they're so short of staff right now. They didn't feel they could look after the students. Normally 3 students would come here during Rule Week, so we kind of miss out on that, but then we're doing this other thing to make up for it a bit. There's 3 new doctors coming to Swan River in September. They're all international medical graduates with a 4-year return of service. They'll be here for 4 years. Doing things a little differently this time. So usually they find out a couple weeks before they come and they get parachuted in. This time they know already they're going to be in Swan River in September. They will be here in March to tour the community, see the schools, find out what there is for the rest of their family to do. We're trying to get them integrated into the community a lot sooner so they maybe like Swan River instead of being forced to practice here, and maybe stick around after the fact. So we're hoping that'll be a little better approach to get them seeing the
You
place.
say there's 2 of them coming?
Three. 3. They're all ladies. They're all from Nigeria. And they've all been going to school together in Winnipeg, so they've already developed some bond. And the part of the hope here was with 3 from the same country, come to the same place. If we get a little community built, then hopefully all three don't pack up and leave.
Yeah.
They stick around and they say, hey, this is a good place to be. So they aren't the only people from Nigeria here. We have some other Nigerian residents too. So they're gonna find some folks that
Their own
quite familiar.
community.
Yeah, which could, hey, if it gets us doctors. There was a discussion of why staff are leaving the Swan River Hospital. PMH doesn't want to discuss that much, but may go with the next one about the safety concerns. They say they're addressing them. There's some details on there. This is on the public agenda, so anyone can go take a peek at it if they want and sort of see the notes through it. We discussed the diagnostic services. There's supposed to be a third CT tech. They haven't arrived yet. We talked about if there's enough x-ray techs. They're going to check on that and follow up. Up until recently, St. Rose took some residency students and they aren't as much anymore. So we're talking about if that program should be moved to Swan River. So we start doing some actual residency here, which would be helpful because again, where you get used to is where you tend to go back. And we talked about the cancer care challenges. They have a staff shortage there. So right now they're not doing initial visits in Swan River. If you're newly diagnosed, you have to attend Russell to be able to get intake into the program. They can come back to Swan River after that.
There's an article in the paper this week.
No. So, we will meet with them again in a couple months' time. This is now our basically quarterly. We're meeting with PMH to discuss specifically the report. It was the first meeting that Councillor Blosha joined us. She was our new appointee to that committee, so there's two of us there now. And life is good. We roped her into a bunch of volunteerism already too.
Yeah, next week I'm working.
Yeah. So it's good. Any discussion, questions? Okay. Let's move to 8.6, Northwest Regional Immigrant Services. So a copy of the letter is attached here. This is the same one we get every year, basically looking for $4,000. They're thanking us for it. There's some of their budget stuff here as well. Does everybody recall why they want $4,000? You want me to go over it again?
No. I mean, no.
It's in the letter, or one of them letters that sort of says what it's for, extra things.
If you really want to see, rewind the tape to 1 year ago when I gave the speech about why, and you can see the why part. Questions, comments? Do you want a resolution on it tonight?
Well,
I think it was in our budget,
it's in a
actually.
budget item, isn't it?
It will be once we pass the budget.
So do we have to pass a resolution, or
They
Well,
seem
they
to
can
prefer
wait.
we do because they want an answer sooner rather than later, but we don't pay them until after the budget's passed.
well, we've done it for many years, so I don't say it's not.
Be it resolved, the grant request for $4,000 from Northwest Regional Immigrant Services shall be approved and included in the 2025 financial plan. Is there someone that wishes to move the resolution? Councillor McGregor, and we'll go with Councillor.
Brad.
Okay, Councillor Kushniryk.
I don't wanna be greedy.
Any further discussion? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. We're moving to 8.7, Budget 2025. Councillor Zbirun asked that we talk about a couple things, so we'll send it over to him for his points.
Hi.
Hi.
Right.
This is what happens when you can send a note to put it on the agenda. It's like, all right, now we'll have them tell us why.
I don't know how far the LED or anybody else in doing their budget, but I have a little motion and the reasons why I want this motion to go ahead. So I'm gonna read to you.
Sure.
Okay. This is I move that in 2025 budget for the local urban district of Benito be adjusted to allocate funds for the employment of full-time workers, as was done prior to 2023. This change is essential due to the current state of our community where essential services such as grass cutting, street cleaning, snow removal, sidewalk clearing, and general maintenance of the utility system are falling behind. I don't know why I'm so nervous for some reason of doing this.
You want me to read it for you? You want me to read it for you?
I don't need to be
I'm just nervous.
nervous.
I don't know why I am, but I get the same way.
Public speaking
Right there.
sucks.
Okay, the lack of properly funded workforce for the LUD is not only impacting the urban district, but also the surrounding rural areas. As operators are pulled from their core tasks such as grading, culvert installation, and signage, these vital services are also suffering. We cannot allow the needs of Benito to be neglected in favor of rural priorities, nor should rural services be compromised because of the LUD's inability to properly fund its own workers. Historically, Benito employed 3 full-time workers with additional support from Green Team workers during the summer months. This structure ensured that the community received the attention it needed. Currently, we only have 1 full-time worker and a temporary Green Team, which is insufficient to maintain the high standards of service our community deserves. While reducing taxes to attract new residents is important, the lack of basic services like timely grass mowing and snow removal can deter people from moving to or staying in Benito. For 2023 budget, the LUD was reduced to only $65,000, a sharp decline from $373,700 in 2022. This significant cut has placed our community in a disadvantage and has contributed to the decline in services. It is crucial that Benito, as an independent LUD, take responsibility for its own services and ensure that the necessary resources are available to meet the needs of its residents. The state of our community is disheartening, and while I do not have all the answers, I believe we must start by restoring the budget to a level that allows us to hire the workforce necessary to maintain our community and improve our services. I urge the committee to allocate funds for the employment of dedicated workers who will ensure that Benito receives the attention and care it deserves, and then the rural can take care of the rural.
I said it.
Yeah, so what do we want to do with that? Like, are you wanting to bring that as a resolution tonight, or?
Well, I'd
Send
like
it
to
to
make it
Neely, or-
as, if anybody thinks that that's a good idea, I don't know, like,
Right, so what do
We
we?
just have 1 full-time man, right now we have, what's his name?
Fred?
We come in, like, we bring other people in for garbage, or bring other people in for plowing.
Rick,
such.
no, is it Rick?
no,
Fred.
Fred.
Fred, yeah, Fred.
I don't know that we ever had 3.
Yeah, we did. We had Rick, we had Bill, and we had Morgan, and then we had the Green Team.
Morgan was green team and then he transitioned in as the other guys left.
Well,
So it was just
and then we had a university student that would stay in even longer.
that was a green team, they got an extra month on each end.
So I mean, at one time or another, there could have been possibly 6 working there.
Well, the Morgan thing was only for maybe 1 year while they transitioned one guy out. That's all it was. They brought him in to learn more while normally
So
it's
we had what?
We normally had
4,
2.
5, 5.5, 4.5?
2 plus 2 green team.
Why are we arguing about this for? I mean,
No, it's-
there's more than one, right?
It's
There was
immaterial, I
one-
was just gonna
okay.
say it's immaterial, guys, because we got 1 now, so 2 is twice as good, right?
Yes,
I mean-
no, we did have 2 before. At times, we know that we were sitting a lot. Regardless, we don't have rural anymore. We don't, there isn't a rural column anymore. You're saying that the rural should pay for the rural and the LUD should pay for the LUD. So the LUD gets the same services as the rural and has to pay what they're getting for extra. Now, I don't disagree. We haven't done the snow removal great, but that's been a bit of a battle of different opinions. Not that we couldn't do it. I know I've offered you in the past to look at different municipalities, like you weren't there at the meetings when the municipal service officers gave us examples and said that we could do it that way. That's no problem. I still have those emails, I'm sure. I'd like to see the 373 budget, because there will be other stuff in that as well. It's just offsetting columns, just like we do ins and outs for reserves and whatnots like that.
You know what? You can sit there and you can argue all you want. But all you have to do is take a drive down Benito. And it's like I said before, when we get good reviews on Benito, then we get bad reviews on our roads. When we get good reviews on our roads, we get bad reviews in Benito. So you can cut this, you can say this, you can do this, but all you have to do is take a drive around and take a look. So you can say, well, we can do it with 1 guy, we can do it with 1.5 guys. We can't. Take a look at the town. We can't do it.
I'm not arguing, we had more before, and I think I've said that we should have our
So
landfill
then-
at full time, so we split some more.
So then why can't we or you, or the LUD hire their own people so that.
We can't.
So, pardon me?
The municipal act says we cannot have staff. We cannot, as an LUD, have staff. We can't tell them.
So
to
you could
staff.
have staff from 2015 to 2023, but all of a sudden you can't have staff now?
No, till 2014, I believe it
No,
was.
till 2022.
No, till 2014.
I got the papers in my truck right now. I got every year, and every year the LUD has budgeted for their own workers.
But get the municipal act that says that was wrong. That was wrong. We pay
And
our
then you can
general
argue it
taxation.
any way you want to, but all you have to do is take a drive around Benito and see what it looks like. How people came up to me in the springtime, why is there grass so like this? Why aren't you cutting the grass? Why aren't you doing this?
They've
Why
done
aren't you
that
doing
for
that?
years.
Huh?
We've done that for years.
You done what for years?
Complained about the grass and complained about the ball diamonds and complained about everything else. I can show you back when we had prior
Oh.
CAOs complaining about this.
Yes. So instead of us making it better, we're just gonna keep it the same because it's been like that for
I'm
years?
Not at all saying that to you,
Okay, then
Byron.
why don't you just
But the municipality
budget for your
has
own
staff.
workers and then it's done. And
So-
then Mr. Burick here, who says, well, I'm not getting no shrubbing or cutting or whatever it is, the people can go and do his work.
Do you understand that the LUD is part of the municipality?
I do understand that.
So
And do you
what-
understand that the LUD governs their own town? It's different in Durban than Kenville?
No, we don't.
What do you mean you don't?
We don't govern our own town. We have a service plan for services over and above what you receive.
And you told me that if you come with a service plan and we reject it, that you can take it to higher courts and you can get it shoved through the way you want it.
No. We can fight and we can stonewall it, but LUD can keep refusing. We will put it up to you. You say no, bring it back to us. We say no. Eventually, it's gonna go up higher.
Goes to the municipal board.
You can't force anything on us. We can't force it on you. But we are entitled to the same services you get. So those employees that you're saying don't belong in Benito, do. And they aren't there that much. I promise you, the rural is not losing for the little bit that they come into Benito.
Then take a drive, like I said, take a drive around and take a look.
I know what it looks like, and I've complained heavily.
And yet, you don't want to do nothing about
I
it.
do, but I can't force what I want to happen. I can't. And there's no reason that we should gouge the people of Benito because we are mismanaging.
How is that gouging? How
it
is that gouging when these people are working for them?
They don't work.
They
for
don't
them.
work for them. The guy that plows your road plows my road. Why should I pay triple?
Why are you paying triple?
Because that's what happens under the old method. I will pay triple to have my road plowed when you and I live on the same street if we go to the north side of your yard. But I will pay triple because that system does not work. It doesn't.
And the way it is right now is working?
It's transitioning, but no, it's not. But I have had arguments and I have laid out how the snow removal could happen very efficiently. But it won't.
If we had a few more guys working.
No.
Actually, if we had someone that wasn't refusing to clear the streets in Benito.
We did it last year, the very final snowfall, when I got it through in Scotland. Bang, done perfect. Done perfect. Kenville, Durban, Swan River, and Benito were plowed and then out to the rural. It took 2 hours and all those areas were done, and then rural was hit. And that's the way it should go. But I shouldn't pay triple for the grader to go down my street. And then when it crosses to that gravel 3 houses down from me, that guy pays a third. We're getting the same service.
I have no idea how you're paying triple.
That's how it was. Without a word of a lie. So in 2000, what year was the big tax increase?
When Mr. Gallery was elected, he increased the taxes.
It was a 55% increase. Nobody from rural came to Benito to defend us. That was, I have never
What year was
seen.
that?
Mr. Gallery was elected Reeve.
It'd be like 17,
18 would have been.
17,
It was partway
18.
through, so it would have been, because Mr.
Oh,
Scout
yeah,
was
it
here
would have
for a
been
while, and
16
after
or
he resigned.
17.
Because in 2015, it was 400 and some thousand was
So,
what
your,
you
so
need
to be clear, the budget for Benito in the last several years has never been 400,000 once we were part of Swan Valley West. The budget was around 200,000. It's never been the 300 number either.
And we lost all of our funding. All of our funding that came to Benito went.
Sure.
I just wanna ask,
Well, this is, Don't discuss, we'll let Mr. Zbirun come back, 'cause I don't wanna miss the comments.
Gotta get exciting.
Oh, gosh.
See, it all started in 2014, we had 3 taxes at that
Oh,
time.
wait,
Right.
let him come back.
Let him come back to it, wait until he gets back.
Let him come back.
Let him
It's
be,
not fair
let him
to
be,
discuss what he's
let him
talking
be involved in the
No, but I'm
discussion.
just going through the history a little bit. We had the 3 basic taxes then.
You would think.
Let him
Or
be.
urban in general, or whatever it was called. Well, I'm gonna have something to eat, I don't know.
You better have something to eat, have it. Throw a few back.
Whoops, oh, let me get that little rough. Looks like deer shit.
We're like rabbits.
Why do you guys bring stuff like that up when we're having a serious discussion?
Because we're serious, man.
He's got a lot there.
I think he's locked it.
I think you
Oh, yeah.
should, you should be able to get the code. There it is.
All public works.
It's not working again.
Unless I'm reading this wrong.
Okay, so what is this? Because I don't recognize.
This is something I put
Oh, that's
together.
how
It's
old budgets used to
it's a urban district service plan.
kind of how old budgets used to. No reds.
So the first page, the first line is 215, 216, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm 21. I'm missing 20.
No, oh yeah, there's no fill.
No, I'm missing 20.
No, it's
Okay.
cold.
Is it, can I make copies of it? Would that be okay?
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
Give everyone
So,
a copy so we can all see it.
15 it was how much?
410,000,
In
219 in 20, and the next
And-
one.
and
that'd
16,
be
216?
16, 265, 326, 283, 388, 373.
in 2022.
What year was that?
2022.
2022.
Can I grab it? I'll make copies and we can all see it together. And we're not just reading random numbers so we can look. Do we just need this one page or the whole thing?
It's up to you. Take a look at it, whatever you think, Phil.
It's,
I mean, there's a whole service plan there.
it's their service.
If you're paying at large, I mean, who's paying for the rest of that stuff that it takes to run Benito?
So in most of that service plan, if you read the municipal act, you'll find those lines don't apply. They shouldn't be there, they should have disappeared in 2014. In defense of the councils weren't given much instruction. I believe Terry was part of that transition. They weren't, they were kind of left to fend on their own, and however it happened, it happened. Another little note, like one of my pet peeves is, so they're all municipal staff. They're all Swan Valley West staff. Whether they're in the LUD, whether they're out there, equal guys. So when we have one guy who's struggling in Benito, and we have other guys who maybe aren't necessarily that busy, sitting in another shop somewhere on a non-plowing day, why are those guys not in a truck off to help out the guy who's struggling?
Oh, it's the management problem.
That's what we are suffering with. It's not that we should be billing Benito to pay more staff to go work in there, it's that our staff aren't being utilized maybe on days when they could help. Because there's still this mindset of Benito versus the municipality, but it's not supposed to be that way. And we keep creating this headache and bringing back this problem that should be in the past. And you'll find any progressive municipality has done away with the LUD, moved on, and they're much better off and happier for it. And their staff work in, they work out, they work where they're told, when they're told, and nobody says, I'm not going to Benito because that's not us. Because one of the things I get is, oh, Benito could never afford to have a grader. Well, neither could your quarter section of land. It's a pool that buys the grader, it's all of it. Everybody together. Nobody has ever cried once about the grader going through Kenville, but they don't want it in Benito. They don't complain about it doing the west side of Swan River or down around Timmerick's and Grazier, but they don't want it in Benito. And it's an old school mindset. And if we let it go, we would move on and fix these problems.
So actually what you're telling me is that there's more people in the RM that think like I do and think that the LUD should be running their own town. Well, you're saying that more people are saying they don't mind it running through Kenville because Kenville doesn't have an LUD. They don't mind it running through Durban because Durban doesn't have an LUD. But they mind it running through Benito because Benito has an LUD. That's what you're saying,
No,
right?
what I'm saying is they
That's what
mind
you're-
it running, they mind it running through Benito because there's still people not understanding that are telling them they should mind it running through Benito. Because if you take the time, like was taken on that, to sit and read the Municipal Act and study up on the LUD, you will find out you're wrong. And I've brought the municipal service officers out to Benito to discuss this. And I was not wrong.
So why is it that last year at the budget meeting, and I asked probably 3 times, how much are we making from the LUD at large? And I couldn't get an answer.
Well, we can figure it out. You make the same percentage that you make as base. It's just a formula. We just gotta look at the numbers and we can figure it out. Like, I don't know it off the top of my head. I used to, but I don't now. Like, the most fair way I ever have to say it is you and we live, I could throw a rock at your house, right? We live that close together. We pay the same at-large tax. You and I, exact same amount per 100,000, and then I pay an extra rate for the Benito services. Now, even though it's only 65,000, it still hits us pretty good. I don't know the numbers anymore off the top of my head, but I pay a fair bit more than you per 100,000 for services. You honestly do. If we take this map that we drew here, there is one quarter section in the middle that is the Benito LUD. It's never been adjusted. We are allowed to adjust those boundaries once per year, I believe. So all these areas that are actually urban but are outside the LUD could all be moved inclusive, which would be we could wrap and include your yard. And if we do that, and if we do what you were proposing, your taxes will triple. I did the math on this before. Taxes that were $2,500 a year will go to $7,000 a year.
So
I had it all
we're
broken.
paying, right now we're paying exactly the same thing, is what you're telling me.
Not exactly the same thing. We are paying exactly the same thing on those base services. Per $100,000 of property, we'll pay the same thing. But then I pay an extra fee. The LUD mill rate is for those extras that we get. Some places don't charge any. It's just one rate, that's it. Because it's not worth the headache to them. Because once you break this down, you are talking pennies. Once you break this over the whole municipality, if you fight me for $10,000 and you win, and then you break that down over the whole municipality, you won't even know you won.
So then why did my taxes go way up and yours went way, way down?
My taxes went way, way down on numbers, but now that's all about perception. Because it's, first we had a 55% increase that nobody took into effect. So if you want to say we had an LUD rate before, and we had a rural rate, and we had an at-large rate, right? So my taxes went down on the LUD rate. My taxes went up on the at-large rate. Your taxes went up on the at-large rate. Your rural taxes got 100% decrease. They completely disappeared. So the portion you paid for over and above at-large is gone. No longer exists. You only pay the at-large, plus there's a bridge or something still on there from prior. Those will disappear, then we'll all pay for them. So once we level out the LUD to where it should be with the at-large to where it should be, anything that goes up for you will go up exactly the same for me. It will always remain the same. We're going through the hard time of transition right now. Nobody rural cared when it went up. It wasn't a big noise thing. Benito people sure cared. I've never seen so many people look close to a stroke when they were so mad at Mr. Galloway, flush red in the face yelling at him, but nobody cared. Our taxes went up, we were promised it was a one-year thing and it was not. Now that came down, we're trying to plateau that, but once that growing pain is over, there's no change. We'll go up together. When stuff goes up, I'll go up as much as you. So if we do a bridge in the north and it costs a couple $1 million, I'm gonna pay for that bridge just the same as you in the LUD. So then we'll be the same.
Yeah, we will go up, whatever, 2%, 3%, we'll both go up 2-3%. But if I'm paying $8,000 taxes and mine goes up 2% and you're paying $3,000 taxes and you're going up 2%, is that the same?
But if you paid $8,000,
Is that the same?
It is the same because you paid $8,000
Right
taxes because you own $2 million of property and I own $250,000. Because if you were paying that much more than me at that point, it's because you own that much more, right? Because we're the same tax rate. So you can only pay more if you own more. So there's the perception too, right? Like I know a lot of people, okay, but the guy owns 20 quarters of land, so that's a lot. Well, what if a guy is an investor and he owns 20 houses? Why should his investments have triple the tax rate just because they're a block over from yours? If you go down,
Just to clarify, because, oh, by the way, it quit snowing outside.
oh, good.
Just, I'm done, but I can't remember what I was gonna say. You don't feel like it's your responsibility or the LUD's responsibility to hire their own people so that they have their own people there all the time, so that they can work the water, they know what streets to clean and where to go. You don't think that that's a priority for the LUD, right?
It's a priority that we look after the town properly with municipal staff, but that, what you're asking me is like saying, do we need a guy to
No,
look
I'm just
after
saying,
the site?
you don't think that it's the town's responsibility to look after their own stuff, right?
They don't have their own stuff. That is why the equipment is registered to Swan Valley West. So you're asking a question I can't answer because they can't have staff. If I say yes, it's their responsibility, they can't hire someone to do it. They can't. They are entitled to services too. So that quarter in Benito, I don't know the current numbers, but it was a $7 million quarter. We don't have another quarter in the municipality that has $7 million value on it, do we? So if you say most quarters are $500,000, so now you're talking 14 times the services should be paid for in that area of Benito already just based on the value of that quarter. But nobody looks at it like that.
Okay.
Councillor Greer, you had comments.
No, you made the comment that somebody didn't want to remove the snow in Benito or something, you made the
Correct.
comment?
Yes.
Somebody doesn't want to remove the snow in Benito.
Yes.
And I was just gonna ask, when Benito was a village on its own, how many staff did they have?
Two. Most times. The odd time 3, and then in the summer it was a green team.
So two.
But basically 2. We got basically 1 now.
Just one, so they had 2 before.
But 1 that can't operate some of the equipment, right? Like the grader.
He wouldn't operate a grader.
That's what I
no.
mean.
No.
So we're
Definitely.
counting on some of our other staff to back them up to get all this done.
Yep. But in return of that, I mean, we use, Fred, I believe, could go do garbage or whatever, you know, like, we have different tiers of staff for everything, right? Like, they have different skill sets.
Well, in the old days, the same 2 guys did everything. The water, they did the garbage, they did the snow clearing, they did everything. They did the grass except the green team in the summertime, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they fixed the ball diamonds, they did everything. 2 guys, okay? And that's sort of what Byron's getting at, I believe. To have 2 guys that are dedicated.
To Benito.
But the way our workforce is set up, I don't know how we could do that. Because we don't have any equipment dedicated to those guys. And in those days, we had to get outside help too. We had to get guys to come and we were thankful that the highway went right through town and out to the highway again, come right, you know. The main drag was cleaned. The highways would eventually come and clean the
Yeah, they don't
snowbanks
do
up
that
in the
anymore.
middle of the road, but they
They
don't
do
even
that
do it.
anymore?
Well, they're
They don't
supposed
even
to.
hardly do
Done
that
for
in
a few
Swan
years.
River.
They haven't for a few years. There's no staff. Once a year they might
Look
come in.
at a couple of weeks ago, and Bill can tell you too, I mean, we didn't have the workers there, they didn't know, nobody knew enough to go and clean the floats on that. We could have had a catastrophe, like
Yeah.
flooded basements and everything, because we didn't have our own workers there that knew what to do.
So as remiss as I am to discuss employees in open session, in general terms, the fact that floats weren't cleaned were a complete and total failure of Public Works. Period. Public Works' responsibility is to maintain the utility system in Benito, and Public Works failed to do that. There are people responsible for that utility system, and they didn't do their job. And because of that, we very nearly flooded basements in Benito. We caught it, we saved it, and that's great. And we'll learn from it. Public Works makes mistakes because they're human. They're always gonna make mistakes. Well, I can tell you 3 or 4 they made today.
so.
And I wish we hadn't, but we learn from it and we get better. We're always about trying to get better.
And this isn't, what I'm proposing isn't getting better.
Anybody else have comments before I have comments? So, who typed this? Because I don't think this came from the office here. Was this created from administration?
Nope.
So, when did you ask for this to be added to the agenda?
Today.
What time?
I don't know. I was just, after I came in from chores, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
Did you type this since then?
Pardon me?
Did you type this
No.
since then? Did you write that thing since then?
I wrote that last night.
So, irregardless of the discussion of Benito, which is a discussion we should have, I find it offensive that we would show up at a council meeting and drop a bombshell without some sort of previous indication we should have information ready. If administration had been given any warning that they needed to have all the LUD information here, it would be sitting here for us tonight, so we could go through all the numbers. But there was absolutely no indication. When this was requested to be added to the agenda, the request was, there's something I want to talk about for budgeting. And that's what was put on the agenda. That's the only information administration was given.
Okay.
So then
So
this
I-
shows up. And I have to admit, in the 4 minutes I've had to read it, I cannot tell you if it's accurate or not. I can see some things that I'm really questionable on, but I too haven't read the last several years of LUD budgets today, because I too didn't prepare to discuss this. Because I had no idea that's what the item was about. So we've done this, had this great argument, without the actual numbers in front of us in the files that are just over there, that had there been some warning, we could have had ready. We
But
have a resolution prepared for tonight that presumably we're bringing to the table about a massive change to Benito. What that resolution proposes is that we would be tripling the tax rate in Benito by passing that resolution tonight, which we can't legally do unless we're tripling the tax rate for the entire municipality. And if that's really the proposal, I think we probably should talk about it longer. I am pissed that we do this. I make sure you get a chance to bring every single thing you want to this table. I have never shut you down. I have made sure that we always hear your opinion, and I value your opinion. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to discuss every issue you have and every issue every member of this council has. Because that is what we're here for, is to discuss it. So everybody gets a say. But this was not fair. We could have prepared for this, we could have had all the information, so everybody could have it in front, we could have given everybody a week to go through it. And then everyone could have come tonight and had a good discussion on it. To me, this just feels like a setup. Because I don't even know if this is right.
no,
And then
you-
you're asking us to make a decision on
where did I
this.
go to get that? I wasn't even gonna bring that into this meeting, was I? Until you said the LUD's service plan was never ever over $200,000.
I don't think it was.
Well, here it is.
But this isn't the LUD service plan. This is something someone typed without any fact checking being done at this municipal office to make sure it's accurate. And maybe this is absolutely perfect, and I hope it is. But gosh, that's not how I recall the service plan looking. But like I say, I haven't read it in the last several months, because I had no need to go back and read the 2021 service plan to see what it said and make sure I had the numbers memorized for tonight. I'm not even saying we're not going to discuss this. I think we should give this 2 weeks so we get the accurate numbers, and then we can all actually go over it for a while, so we can come here and have a valid discussion, instead of it just becoming so heated. Because obviously the two of you are going to fight about this all night, and that's not unexpected. But,
And the next night, and the next night, and
well, I know, but like, come on, Byron. If we'd had some warning, like,
well,
I
what
had
did
two
you want, what
different-
did you want me to say?
I would like to talk about how the LED service plan works and look at what the numbers were before and make sure we have all that information.
I wasn't planning on doing any of this. All I wanted to do is to put this out there
So do
so
you
that
want-
at least the LUD would think about maybe, yeah, we should clean up our town, and maybe the way to do it is to hire a budget for our own workers. Not only, in case you don't have your own workers, but budget for workers. And have a clean town. That's it. That's all this was all about. And I thought, do it now, before they sit down and make their budget. Maybe they can sit down and think, well, hey, you know what? He's got a good point. We need to get our town back into order. And I wasn't bringing this to the table at all until you said,
That I don't think the numbers are right.
right. And I said, well, hey, I got this paper. I think the numbers are right.
And I just don't know until we actually research them and see. I don't think they are. But it could be bang on.
Whatever.
What do you want to do with your thing tonight? Do you want to bring it as a motion to have us vote on it? Do you want to refer it to the LED committee?
You know,
What
let's
would you like to
just,
do?
no, I, like I said, yeah, refer to the LED, see what they say. I think the LED, it's about time they come and talk to us before they do make a budget. Am I the only one that thinks that way? Like, they've never ever come and sat down and went over their budget with us, right? Or there's nothing to go over?
Well, generally, we make it ourselves and we submit it for approval. Then the council will either approve it or decline it, send it back for changes, they can review it. In defense of the LED, like Carrie can vouch, I spent my 4 years prior to council on LED fighting that it was done incorrectly. Never, not saying it was intentionally incorrectly, but if you study, I spent my time going through towns and checking their municipalities and looking at it, and it's not done the way it's supposed to be. So that's it. So I
Okay, I'm gonna say it again. My thought here was not to blindside anybody, to backstab anybody. I just wanted to put this out there so that it would give somebody something to think about. I mean, when I say that, I mean the LUD. Maybe us too. And that's all my purpose was here.
So, do you think if we just send what you have written to the LED for the next meeting, is that enough? Do you want us to do something else with it? What would you like to see us do?
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
If they're aware of it, that's fine. That was my intentions of this in the first place, just to make them aware of it. My opinion, that's how I feel. I drive through that town, I see what's happening there.
I don't disagree with you. Swan Valley West is doing a very poor job of looking after Benito right now, especially the last 2 months. Completely agree with you. Okay, so if it pleases the council, we will refer to that to the LED committee. We'll ask the committee to review that letter. And then, once you've done that, when's your next meeting? Next month? Soon? Third week?
third week.
Is that soon enough?
Yeah, yeah, whatever. I mean, as long as they have it, they can.
So if you folks can look at it at LUD for a while, we can then answer questions and figure out get those service plans and such, and we can go through them and we'll figure out something. I'll probably speak to both of you guys, try and get, so we have the right information, so we can have a good discussion about it and everybody can read it ahead of time and get their mind around it. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, I apologize if I blindsided somebody or did that. That was not my intention.
I'll end with this. All day long after that phone call, I took questions from administration on what wasn't so they could be ready. Because the last thing administration wanted was to be at the table tonight and have a question come they couldn't answer tonight. And all day long I reassured them he would have told us if there was something that we needed to prepare so we had the information for council tonight. And so, if anyone takes from this administration isn't prepared, that's the reason why. Let's move to 8.8, development plan. So we met at Swan Valley Planning District last night. And as you know, we're doing the new development plan. We had the opportunity to pass first reading last night, but we didn't. We chose not to because there were some unanswered questions. Most of those relate to Minnetonka's. But there's a list here of concerns that came back from the provincial government about various things. And there's a concern that relates to Benito. And so we're here to talk about that tonight because we're going to provide our input back to the planning district. So the math we have tonight is the current proposal for land use planning for Benito. So this is very different than the old way. The old way used to have all the zoning on this map. The zoning still exists, but the zoning is a function of Swan Valley West. This is the actual whole valley look. So what it's been redrawn to is everything in purple is called principal community. So that's where any zone can exist, commercial, residential, industrial, we can do what we want in there. The gray area around that is called agricultural transition. So that's an area where we would not allow a new pig barn to be built because at some point the town may expand to there. But the town can't expand to there without a little bit more permission work. Then the very far outside, which on mine at least looks kind of pink, that's agricultural land. So that's just normal farmland where any agricultural activity can take place. So what the concern came from the province was when we did this, we drew it a little bit bigger than it was so Benito had somewhere to go in case we get lucky and someone says, let's build something. Their concern is that where we drew this a little bit bigger is Class A agricultural land, or Class 1 land. They point out that within our planning district, there is only 2% of all of the land in the Swan River Valley is Class 1 agricultural land. And so they say, are you sure you're willing to take some Class 1 agricultural land out of production if Benito expands? The problem, of course, is all of this is Class 1 agricultural land. So they said, well, maybe you should expand a different direction, but no matter which direction Benito would go, it will be on Class 1 land. So we need to give this some sober thought to say to them, we've thought this through, and if Benito chooses to expand, those are the areas it should expand to. Now, Councillor Kushniryk looked at this earlier and said, how come this piece isn't purple? Because this is all residential already. And that's a fairly good point. Because what is already, basically the urban area should be purple. Because it's not that this is farmland, this is houses already. So it's
Rural residential.
right. So maybe it should already be purple because it's already built. But other than that, so the questions are, do we leave this alone? Do we change anything? And in this area, if this is purple, should there be any of that gray area around here in case you build houses further in or such? What's everyone's thoughts?
That area that you said that should be purple, is it not because maybe it's acreage or what?
When this was drawn, like this part got drawn purple because they knew it was houses.
Which side, let's see, really, where's it?
This got drawn into
Okay.
purple because it's already houses. So really this should have been too, it's just, they looked at this by the divisions, not by what was on it. And when I said this is houses, it became purple and I said, well, these are houses. But they likely think these are little farms or something, which really they're not.
Why isn't it purple south of the tracks and on the east-west side of 83? That's houses too, isn't it? South of the tracks?
There's some in here,
There's
yeah.
some over there
Here,
too.
this is houses too, yeah. So really by rights, I think this part should probably have been purple.
Yeah.
And then do you want any of this gray area around here? Is essentially, if we don't put it there, we're saying you can never expand this way, at least not for the next 20 years.
I'd say, like you say, just to be on the safe side, I'd say gray so that if they do
So what it
expand.
does is, and so like, okay, you can't build a hog barn where it's this color.
No.
But we really don't want a hog barn.
They're not there either.
You know, like.
No, those are behind people's
That would be
homes.
kind of
That's
a
where the
silly
west
place.
wind.
Yeah, so. Okay.
How many acres did you figure that out? Roughly how many
So
acres
their
there?
concern is that we added 150 acres in this light gray area.
Okay.
And they're saying, oh, that's a lot of farmland to lose, but I would love to say Benito's gonna use it all, but we all know the chances of that.
How far south does that go, that gray area? How far south, according to are these squares, are they,
Half a mile, no, not even,
how far, do you know how
These,
far?
I think, are quarters.
from the
Quarters?
railroad, from the railroad tracks.
So how far south would that be then? Where
Basically just up to that last house.
Be-
Because it's, you can see, if you look really close, you can see the lots. It's subdivided though,
Yeah.
so basically just that last house.
How about that stretch going towards on Railway Avenue? Past your place there, you know, out that way,
This
eh?
one?
That's purple down here, and then you would be this, so this would be where you're talking, right? And then you would be right here,
That's me?
that's you.
Okay.
So there's also houses here across from you,
Oh,
like
okay,
Austin
okay,
Checks
okay,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So your house is be right there?
Right about there, yeah.
Okay.
You're on the north side of the railroad?
Just on the north side.
This is farmland that's owned as well. Right? Like where you're saying, where you partially
Oh,
off.
yes.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
where,
Yeah,
yeah, you know what
Might
that
be
says
fun.
too, but
might be fun
Well-
purchasing it, yeah.
once you zone it like that, it can be,
Well, I think, you know, ultimately the farmer never has to sell,
yeah,
but at $20,000 an acre, they might.
they might,
You know, like you never
No,
know.
no, yeah.
Somebody really wants to build a house and they pay $20,000 for a lot.
but if they take it away from you. I just think your vagina's overpass. Just think of that. I'm just saying.
Okay, so are we thinking purple-wise where people are living now?
Well,
I'd
we
say
might
so.
as
I think
well.
so.
Okay,
Yeah.
then
Well,
a
it
little-
makes common
It
sense.
won't look as bad, it'll,
And then gray farther a little bit
Little, okay,
west.
very well,
Safety.
we'll send that back.
Well, at least you brought it back to look at before you passed it.
We'd like to try to get some input. There is, other thing that came up at planning last night, and was it in camera? It was in camera there. We should probably do it in camera here too, because it was in camera there last night, so we'll just put a note on the in-camera list. It's a question about how the planning district purchases office space. So we'll just give that a quick talk, because the three people that are on watershed should get in on that talk later. Anything else on development plan 8.8? Let's move to 8.9, Mountain Dweller Media. Every year or so, we renew the contract with Mountain Dweller Media, so this is the latest proposal for the contract. I don't think that's a fee change, is it? No, same fee as we had last year, but the contract has expired, so we need to renew it if we wish to continue doing video. I would presume everybody here is in favor of the video. Okay, so let's get a resolution ready. Be it resolved, the contract with Mountain Dweller Media for 2025 be approved. Is there someone to move the resolution? I'll say Councillor Blosha and Councillor Neely. Any further discussion? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried.
Regardless of who got Kit Kats.
We could still modify that contract to require if there's one Kit Kat, there's 8.
This should be true.
Correspondence tonight, we don't have anything to present. Unfinished business, we don't have anything on this tonight either, so we're going into committee reports number 11. We will start with Councillor McGregor.
Attended a library meeting last night, or rather, on the Orthodox one. Bill was late getting there, and our chairperson for our library committee didn't make it in. We were traveling from up north. Most of it was tabled. The one thing that was brought up was about the computer system at the library, which is quite a mess, which I'm going to let Bill talk more about that because he has the know-how when it comes to that. And just some security matters and stuff. It was a pretty basic meeting, very short, because most of it was tabled.
Councillor Neely.
oh, just the Swan Lake watershed, on the 16th, we had annual pizza and elections.
Mostly pizza.
And,
Pizza, Kit Kats, what's going on?
and a slideshow with some of the projects that have been done and stuff. So anyways, it boiled down to Byron as our board appointee, you know.
Congratulations.
Brian and I are not on the board, just in our sub-districts, but they are going to have more open meetings where everybody, all members can go. So, and I think maybe all of the meetings meetings are talking, aren't they? Didn't they say, like, the way I got it was all the meetings. will be-
Sounded like it, yeah, but
All the meetings will be
We'll see
open
what happens,
to all
yeah.
members.
yeah.
And Dale Kazakov too, he's.
Oh, and Dale Kazakov, oh, we knew that because we appointed him before.
Well, he's appointed as an appointee on the board.
Yes, he's on the board with
Yeah.
Byron as well, yeah. So we have two people on the main board, and then Brian and I are,
Till
in the back chair, back chair.
We're in the back.
And that's all, it's been pretty quiet. We got a few meetings coming up early in the month here, but that'll be at the next report, I guess.
Good. Councillor Zbirun,
Just the watershed meeting.
what kind of pizza was the?
You name it, they
Yeah.
had a stack of
Why?
pizzas about 3 feet high.
Yeah.
Eh?
Like we're over
They had a
that.
whole
Yeah.
bunch in that back office,
Yeah.
and Brian couldn't eat any of it.
I didn't eat any, they didn't have no meat pizza,
Yeah.
so. Couldn't, I still wanna see that picture though for
Yeah,
you.
we'll get that picture for you. Councillor Burick.
Well, no, okay, it's been said already, I attended the watershed meeting too, and like Councillor Neely says, we went through the projects. 2 projects that came up was the project that we had between ourselves and the boundary of Saskatchewan, that
Yeah.
river.
The river.
And then another project was the Brown Bridge project, bank stabilization. So 2 good projects we had in Ward 6.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was gonna talk to you about that.
And then we had elections, like it was mentioned, we had elections, and we have 2, one of our councillors on the board and also one of our appointees on the board. And then yesterday, the Reeve and I, we attended a planning district meeting, and as he had mentioned, the development plan didn't get first reading yet. There was issues, things we have to deal with, and that was a short meeting. We approved the check listings, we appointed new chairman, the chairman is still our Reeve, vice chairman, and the signing authority stayed the same. Yeah, I think we're gonna discuss a few other things in camera about it, but that's it.
Councillor Blosha.
I attended my first medical recruitment and retention meeting, and I really like it, and I'm glad to be on it. And I got a few jobs to do next week. But you've seen the list, so I'm thankful that I also didn't have to tell you about the list because it's already there.
Which list?
Well, Bill gave you the whole meeting list already, earlier. So I don't have to tell you what I did there. But I think it is good that we do have 2 members on it,
For
actually.
sure.
We actually, I think we do need, because if one of us isn't there, the other one.
You got away.
Well, we need to know what's
You
going
got
on.
away easy, girl. You got away easy.
Oh, I know, I thank him for that.
Anything else?
For me.
Councillor Kushniryk.
Well, this is gonna be ironic.
LED meeting?
We'll start with the simple stuff, of course. We were wondering if it would be possible to get the flags back on the town office.
Yes, working on it.
I think it was sent in. We mostly discussed things we were unhappy with. Snow being a main thing of it, the refusal of cleaning piles on Main Street. The piling of snow just because a business is closed doesn't mean it's a dumping ground for snow. M&Ms, they don't even clean the sidewalk around it. You get a little skinny trail. Just stuff like that going on, and we're not looking after it very well. Yeah, and also somewhat ironic is we had discussed trying to get our service plan ready next meeting. So we're all timed well. That's about it.
All right. I've been up to a few things. Going back to the 15th, after we had our council meeting the next day, I met with representatives from the United Church in Benito and Kendall. Information on that's coming forward in camera tonight for us to look into something. I attended the Rural Manitoba Economic Development Infrastructure Bank funding training on the 20th for an hour, so it was a Zoom session. The federal government has an infrastructure bank that will provide us loans for infrastructure at prime. So if it's, say, 3% country prime, we would pay that 3% rather than paying something higher at a local bank. So we went through how to do that, what kind of projects would apply, water pipelines would, expansion, building more lots, anything that there's some revenue increase. So whether you see revenue because you're selling water, or whether you see more taxation because you build more lots and have more houses. And we got all through that and it was looking so good. And they said, oh, and by the way, it's a $50 million minimum loan. And I said, oh, we don't need $50 million. And they said, oh, well, then we can't really help you. But they did indicate that for some things they would partner many municipalities together. So say, for example, there was a new funding program came out from the government for water pipelines. If there were 3 or 4 municipalities doing that at the same time in Manitoba, that could be one loan for all of us, so we would get the better interest rate. So there is some cheaper money available there if we're ever doing anything fair size. So it's good to know it exists.
What if each councillor wanted $1 million? Just one.
You don't have to pay back eventually.
Bridges aren't included.
I spent some time on the 21st, met again with the church folks to get to the update that we have tonight, because they went away to do some fact finding. On Friday, I spent quite a bit of time in the office because we're out people, so we're down to just one person, so to be open, I hung around. So that day I installed the new phones, which is why we have new phones on the desks tonight. So we've got them almost all the way in. The old ones are still sitting beside them, but in the next couple of days, the old ones will be leaving. I'll be using the new ones. The practical upshot of this is that for a weekend like this, when everything's gonna be blown in, once these are working fully and people call here on the weekend, we'll at least know instantly when they left a message, or they can just speak to one of us, to whoever's on call, just push the button and it'll come to us, rather than having to wait till Monday if they have some sort of emergency and need us quickly. So that will be helpful. Yesterday I was at the planning meeting, and then immediately following that, the library meeting, because they're both scheduled for 7 o'clock. Planning's been well covered already. The library meeting was fairly well covered as well. The computer issue we talked about last time around, the board saw fit to find the solution to that, so we're going to start implementing a fix there with the computers that were broken and get that going. The library's still functioning, but there's been some little issues. Also yesterday, I sat in on an interview for an admin assistant position that we'll talk about in camera tonight. So that happened. Not on this list because it wasn't billable hours. I appeared on CBC Radio since we last talked. I did an interview with As It Happens, which was a national show. So that aired on every CBC station in Canada, plus 100 stations in the United States. So I don't know if you've had a chance to hear it. I posted it on Facebook, but I know some of you will listen to it already. We were talking about Miss Audie and the sentence being reduced for her crime spree in Swan River. So I was sharing some thoughts on that from us, basically what we've discussed here, that we feel that people need to be punished and such. So we talked a little bit about punishment, we talked a little bit about treatment, just the general basic stuff. It was only 6 minutes or so you don't fit much in. We got about a minute in there about why this is a really great community and why you should think about moving to the valley, which I thought was important, because an audience like that's worth $200,000 or $300,000 to spend a minute telling them that Swan River is a place you should think of living. So we worked into the interview that if you live in Toronto or Vancouver and you're sick of what the house prices are, they're cheaper here and you should check us out and think of coming to live in a rural area. So while it's not always the best topic that we have a crime problem, we tried to work some other stuff in. After the interview was done, CBC erroneously referred to me as the Reeve of Swan River, which touched a nerve for some people. When I talked to them, they were very clear I was the Reeve of Swan Valley West. But they seemed to lose that clarity after. On Friday, I was summoned to the principal's office to receive a 45-minute lecture about the fact that I am not the Reeve of Swan River. His worship feels it was inappropriate for me to speak to the CBC. He feels that he should have been offered the opportunity to appear on the show instead. So to be clear, the CBC did not say who should we have. The CBC specifically requested the Reeve from Swan Valley West, and that's who they got. As you can imagine, the fact it was a 45-minute long lecture, there was a lot more discussed, and there was some raised voices. I believe we're coming through that and we're feeling better now on both sides, but it was a little testy there, because I think that really, really touched a nerve when they said Reeve of Swan River, for a variety of reasons, obviously, as we're aware. So that happened. I did also appear on CJOB a couple days ago to discuss rural crime and the GIS program, so I spoke there for a while. We actually got into doctor recruitment in the end after a while, because we talked about rural crime and we talked about recruiting doctors and how it is we get doctors to come and why Swan River is a great place. So again, we got a little hook in there of something other than the bad news, but some good news with it, which I thought was important. And no call to the principal's office after that interview, so I obviously did a lot better job. They referred to me as the Reeve of Swan Valley West. So they just got it in there in the end. But that was good. I think the more that we do, that we just try to keep talking about these issues, right? That's how we get them solved. Otherwise, there has been, as you can imagine, in the last few days, a substantive amount of phone calls about snow-related issues, and road clearing, and everything to do with that, plus some garbage-related issues. And I can report tonight that even though we had some very clear direction from council 2 weeks ago, not all of that has been implemented with garbage yet, because we've been so busy on snow, we haven't pulled the staff in to have the meeting about how we want garbage picked up. So when we're trying to push that out, we have not officially got a chance to sit down because we didn't think it was worth stopping plowing. And we plowed a lot yesterday, a lot today. We've used up piles of overtime. And all we can really say about that is we will keep doing everything we can to try and get those roads cleared. But until the wind stops blowing, it's really tough to do that. So, unfortunately, people are bearing with us for the most part. We are responding. We had one medical concern that we responded to and moved equipment around to respond to that medical concern. We'll continue to do that. If there's a medical issue comes up or access is needed, we will move heaven and earth to get through where we need to get through, no matter where we have to pull equipment from. For the most part, people that are calling are quite understanding that we try to come when we can, but we're not moving equipment around several miles to go to a road that's blocked, because the road we're on is blocked too. So we're trying to get those areas and keep that list and make sure we do get to them as quickly as we can. We're trying not to drive miles empty. There have been a few exceptions to that will be discussed in camera for why that has happened, and we will get some direction from council on when that's appropriate and when it is not, because we want some clarity. But for the most part, I think that's all I can share publicly. Councillor Neely?
We got 4 graders running.
Yes.
I forgot to add one thing. It wasn't a committee report, but it's a good thing. I had a couple people tell me, I'm not sure, I think I know who it was, but I'm not sure who the landfill attendant was on Saturday, but high praise to them. They actually were stopping the people at the gate, asking them if they knew what they had in the back of the truck and where it should go, if they needed help showing where it should go, and I thought just kudos to whoever that was. I think I know, but I don't know for sure, so.
Excellent.
Just make sure that's passed along, please.
I will.
Yeah, and also, on the grading, that way, it's not my area, but I had lots of good reports of the grader keeping it open towards Benito, and they're very happy with their grader operators this year, so. That was another.
Any word of GIS update or anything, or nothing?
Nothing further to share from the RCMP.
Okay, any word of that river, ditch road, delegation coming in or whatever?
They remain steadfast in the fact that they will be here sometime in January to meet with us.
January, okay, they got a few days left.
No meeting booked yet.
Okay, and then was there a meeting we're supposed to have here in the beginning of February?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah, which day is that again?
Tuesday.
Or you'll-
The
is that-
Tuesday.
5th? No, that's it.
Yes, Tuesday.
Sounds about right to be the 5th.
I think
We'll look at the calendar.
the 5th.
February
Or is
5th?
it Wednesday?
It's
I
on the
know, I have
last,
it on the-
it's on the
We'll
last
make
meeting.
sure we
I have
tell
it
you.
on.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
think it's on
send
the
a,
5th.
yeah, okay, send,
I think it's
Look up your last meeting. It's
yeah, just send us
I have it.
a reminder,
Okay, sure.
because I said I'd come,
Yeah, it is the 5th, it's the Tuesday, I thought, no?
5th is Wednesday.
It's the
It's a
Wednesday because
Wednesday.
Friday.
I
we
think
have
it's
to
the
be at
5th,
that.
if I remember.
It's in the morning?
Yes.
9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
9 or 9:30.
Anything else? I see 11.1, and I don't know why I see 11.1, but there it is. It says union update. So I can advise that the negotiating committee, you haven't been told yet, but hey, negotiating committee, on February 11th, which is our next regular council meeting, at 6 p.m., so 1 hour prior to council, we will be meeting with the union for a negotiating session, which may impact the rest of you. Until that session is done, you cannot come in. So if you come in and you see us still with the union, you need to go back
Go
up to we're done.
leave,
Yeah.
go have coffee.
will you be done, will you be done?
Go
in an
get
hour?
donuts for us.
Will you be done in an hour?
I will.
We will start the regular meeting on time at 7 o'clock. Even if that means we're cutting negotiations off, regular meeting will still be at 7.
Okay.
Okay.
So union will be done here by 6:55 for sure.
Okay.
So
But
they'll
we
have
might be done
lots,
by 6:20 too.
they'll have lots of time to go get donuts for
They
you.
will have, and then they can come see us after the meeting and we can continue on.
Oh, so we'll still have our meeting, but
We're
this,
gonna have
our meeting
donuts?
will be at 7 o'clock no
Okay.
matter what.
yeah, no, then.
We're
it's
getting
fine.
them donuts, yeah.
Well, we'll have donuts and Kit Kats that night.
And Dr. Pepper too?
Could be a good night.
Is council gonna pay for that?
No, I think
Sorry,
we're.
this is an inside joke, it's not funny to most people, but it sure is funny to some of us. We're going to go in camera after the break, we'll be discussing some HR matters related to, oh gosh, everything we talked about. Every time we said we can't talk about that in public, that'll be the HR matters. We have some applications to review tonight for some folks that would like to join our team. We will be talking about the Kenville Community Center. There's a report being presented to council tonight for our discussion. We also have a copy of the statement of defense that Swan Valley West has filed in regards to a lawsuit. At the moment, that's still locked, but the statement of defense is a public document, so we'll probably unlock the one part of that after we've discussed it. There isn't much discussed, we're just saying it exists and everyone can see it tonight. And the thing that we spoke at the very beginning that we're adding is an issue in Benito. We'll be going into the in-camera as well, that council's aware of and we're going to discuss tonight. With that, we will take about a 10-minute recess or until everybody's back and ready to go. Meredith, we wish you a good evening.
Good.
So we're going to 12.1 in camera, be it resolved that pursuant to section 1523 of the Municipal Act, council shall meet as a committee of the whole to close the meeting, continue discussions in camera regarding personnel matters, negotiations, preliminary discussions, unresolved legal matters, investigation, enforcement of acts, bylaw, and security of armed documents and property. Is the remover. Wow. So we'll have
Everybody?
Councillor Burick to start.
Go ahead, Kristi, get in there.
Councillor Neely to second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Going to the in-camera session, 12.5. Do we have any resolutions anyone wishes to bring forward after in-camera? We'll go to 13, notice of motion. Does anyone have a notice of motion for council for our next meeting? Hearing nothing, we'll go to 14. The adjournment. Be it resolved, this meeting shall now adjourn at 10:06 p.m. The next meeting is February 11th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Is there a mover? Councillor Blosha. And someone to second the resolution? Councillor Zbirun. Ooh.
Sure, you gave it to me, I can't even believe it. Christmas came early.
I had my hand
Any
up.
discussion?
I had my hand up.
Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. All in favor?
Sleeping.
That is carried.
I think I'm sorry.
Thank you, folks.